Hey everyone, it's Jeffrey at the Jay Saunders channel. How's it going? I've decided to go ahead and make a video on the two extraterrestrial vehicle sightings that I've seen. One was 2 years ago and the other one was a year ago. And it's taken me a long time to do this because at first I was really kind of paranoid that the MIBs were coming if I said anything, because these are just too awesome to believe. Now, I don't have any pictures because they happened at night, and if I had pictures, if I had my say my smartphone going, you wouldn't really have seen much. One, you might have seen the flash in the sky. The others you wouldn't have seen at all. And if I'd have been looking through that smartphone or any kind of a camera, I probably would have missed everything. So what I have done is I have drawn some pictures showing what I saw. Now, this was the one that I saw 2 years ago. This is the one I also reported to MUFON. And I got a call from I don't know his name, I can't remember it now, but he was like the head guy at the top of the MUFON pyramid, the all-seeing eye. And he was asking me all kinds of questions, not just what I saw, but what I thought. And he was asking me, he kept pounding me with these questions. Did I think it was military? Was it you? Did it look like it could be military, And I kept saying, no, I don't think so, unless they're way ahead of things. And, it's almost like I had to convince him that I didn't think it was military. Because I was almost afraid to say yes, because then what, So ever since then, I haven't had anything to do with that place. I go there and like to look at their sightings and stuff, but I'm not reporting anything there anymore because they just want too much information. Okay. So this, I'll show you where it was, and we have San Francisco, Sacramento. I'm right here. And these were flying. There was a pair of them. And I'm right here. And all I could see was a pair of lights. I guess right about here. Flying this way. Okay. And then another one behind it and over this way a little closer to me, also going north. Okay. Now what happens is they do dematerialize, and I'll explain all that in a minute, but I'll just go ahead and draw the line for you now, because when this one gets to the line, it dematerializes. And then however many seconds back, I think this one's about 10 seconds behind. When this one gets here, exactly the same thing happens. And I'm here, and this is probably, I don't know, it's probably about at least a mile. This looks like it's a couple miles, so they were probably closer, because it looked to me like they were about a mile. On this map, this is probably 10 miles out, but I don't want to zoom in too much here, because then you wouldn't be able to really see what's going on. But that's the basic idea. This was at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm here looking west. Just went up on the deck for a cigarette. It's an second floor deck on a house. And I have a pretty good shot. Now I see these two sets of lights coming. But I thought it was weird because big planes don't usually fly this way. And in a pair, that's extremely unusual. So I thought, what's going on here? So I was just watching the lights. And the more I looked at the lights, the more I noticed that the lights didn't look right. So, back over here, basically what I saw was this set of lights just going through the sky, and it looked like two huge planes, like about a mile or a mile and a half maybe, and they were headed due north, parallel with each other, just like I showed you. And then when they got, I don't know, on the map, right about where it was, it'd be like northwest of me, this little pinpoint of light right here, forms like in the disk here. It forms there. I'm just saying it goes to this size really quick. Takes about 3 to 4 seconds. And this little pinpoint of light forms behind the lights. It's all I could see was lights, and then this pinpoint of light. And it just grew to this huge, glowing, fuzzy disk in the back. And when it did that, it lit the whole side of this craft up, right here. This is the side of it. I think it was more square. I have it showing as more rectangular here, but actually I think it was a little bit more square, but I really couldn't see that because this disc was covering it. You couldn't even see through it at all. But I could see all of this. It was definitely square. This was flat, and it had these weird light gray rectangles on the side, but they didn't look like windows, and they were really big. So if they were windows, then there must have been bleachers back here. So, side and the bottom of the ship was illuminated, but I couldn't see further than here. And this line should be over here because all I could see was part of the third rectangle. I couldn't really see the whole rectangle, so this line's really like over here somewhere. So I didn't know how long it was. I mean, this thing could have been a mile long for all I know. But from what I could see was at least a few hundred feet. Because from my view, it couldn't have been more than a mile away, because when it was lit up, I could actually see it. And so if I could see it and that thing was 2 miles or 3 away, it had to have been, 1,000 feet long. And I would say the speed looked like it was probably like 100 and 150, something like that. It wasn't like a jet or anything. It was just flying, clipping along, they weren't moving very fast. So I have this all written up here. I think I've pretty much covered it. If you can read up here, it looked like they were maybe 2,000 or 3,000 feet high. And that's pretty much it. I just see the lights, pinpoint of light forms behind it, and just for a split second when I first saw that, I thought whatever it was, that it blew up, because that's almost what it looked like. But then immediately you could see it was this perfect disc behind it, just spectacular. It was right on the back of this ship, and the ship was going to the right. You would think it would form in the front and it would go into it or something, but it just formed in the back. And then it stayed bright about maybe 2 seconds, and then it started to shrink back down to this pinpoint of light again. And as soon as it started to shrink, this all started to fade. It wasn't just because it wasn't getting illuminated, because it was still pretty bright in behind. But the lights were fading. Everything was just fading out. And then when it got to the pinpoint, the whole thing was gone. Just totally gone. I'm going, whoa, I can't believe my eyes. So here's another one. So I'm watching the other one. I'm going, okay. And so I watched it, and as soon as it got to that same place, it did exactly the same thing, only that it was closer. And this really lit up good. You could see there was a whole bunch of these lights in here, and I couldn't see any exact pattern to it, but they were in there. At the back of the ship, too. That was kind of strange. So the light show was pretty spectacular. I mean, I could see this huge orange yellow disc, kind of like flash thing up there, and it had to have been there for almost 10 seconds. No reports. I couldn't find anything on it anywhere. Of course, who would have their camera out at 2 o'clock in the morning in that direction in the sky? So I doubt if anybody would have got a picture. And even if you did, all you would have seen was the flash. I actually got to see the whole ship. And so that was pretty fantastic. So the other ones are these guys. And I'll go ahead and bring that up a little bit. And the lower left here, you can see this is pretty much how, as I saw them, they were flying in this pattern, coming from the north, towards me, from the north, and they were headed due south. And as you can see here, the side of that leg was probably about 300 to 400 feet, and I know it is because I could see them coming in from the north, low. I was, again, up on the deck, practically on the roof of the house, just looking north at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And and I saw these two V shapes coming, and what in the heck is this? At first I thought it was two birds, but then, I immediately see, though, no, these are not birds. And what was so great, though, was because it was a full moonlit night. The moon was behind me because I'm looking north, so it's passing behind me. And there were some thin, high clouds. Here, I'll show you on the map. There were thin, high clouds right in this area here. Let me get the pencil. So I'm over here. Whole area, high, thin clouds up here. And the moon was over here, shining, this way behind me. Okay. And trying to get this thing to work here. Here we go. Okay. Now, they were coming in pretty low. Looked like 300 or 400 feet off the ground. They were not very high. It's almost like they were evading radar. And the closer they got, the bigger they got. And this part of it down here, this wing or whatever leg of it right here, is the part that flew directly over the top of me. But when it flew over me, the moon lit this whole side up here. It was just absolutely unbelievable. The outside of this thing was covered with some really pretty, like a 3D artwork along the side. It was painted black, but it looked almost like it was a satin black, the way it reflected the moonlight off of it. And these legs were square. I'd say one side was probably like 30 to 40 feet. And I know that this was probably 400 feet long because I saw them coming in from the north, so I knew how low they were flying. When they went over me, I knew how big they were because each one of these houses on this block takes up about 100 feet across. And so I just added up the houses and then just superimposed it straight up onto what I saw going over. So these numbers are pretty accurate. Now, it says up here 30 by 30, but that could be a little small. Okay, and the sides were in 3D relief designs. And pretty much everything you need to know about it technically is right there. It's late in the morning again, just looking north, and here comes these two big, gigantic V-shaped guys, and they were coming in, one here, coming in this way. The other one was behind it over here, farther away, about that spot behind it. And I'm right here. And they just flew right over me. And another thing is when it did fly straight over me, I did make a noise. And I've been a technician my entire life, so I've heard every noise there is, and I'm trained to listen for noises. So, right as it got right over the very top of me and then was going away, I could hear it. And it was a noise I've never heard in my life. And it was a kind of a low, kind of a whining hum, superimposed with a pulsating hum, going about pip, 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 pip. And it was just the most incredible, efficient sound I've ever heard in my life. It was like the most well-oiled running machine you'd ever heard. It was just, but you could just barely hear it, just barely. And the ship otherwise made no noise. And here's another thing. It had no lights. It was totally dark. No lights, no windows, no nothing. And this thing flew right over the top of me, and it just gave me goosebumps when it right over, because I thought, oh my God, I hope they didn't see me, standing there watching them go over, because I was like, oh my God, am I going to get abducted here or what? So it was pretty scary. And of course, I was kind of wondering, maybe I shouldn't ever say anything about it, but there it is. And the only thing that I've seen come close to that is this. This is on the Secchi. Now I think that that was a lot closer to the camera than it is to the sun, which is right here. Because if that was really close to the sun, that would make that thing as big as Jupiter or something. And that's not possible, so I'd say that was just really close to the camera, and that is just about the right dimensional shape for the two that flew over me about a year ago. So there's this one, and this was just a fantastic show of technology here. It was just unbelievable, and I just know that this is not a terrestrial vehicle. And these were way too big. And oh, and by the way, they were only going about 60 miles an hour, maybe 80 tops. But you know, it was not like no 100 miles an hour. I couldn't believe how slow they were going. So I knew that they had, these were not U.S. Jets or something. So, and no noise, no lights. So here's the front views here of it. This is the, front, rear. This is the side view. This is where the views come together in the middle here. Rear, this is the middle in the rear. This is going towards the front. And the backs were square like this, and they looked like they were it looked like they were flat, but curved in slightly here. I hope I have that shown right. It doesn't really show on here very well. I think they probably were straight, but it was kind of hard to tell exactly what the angle was. I was so busy looking at the side of this thing and just getting totally freaked out. And the front of it may have been, I think it was a blunted point, but it was too hard to draw on here, so that point was just a little bit rounded. It was kind of blunted. It wasn't really pointed. It was totally sharp. So anyway, there you go. Up until the time that I saw this one, I was a 99% believer. And this made me 100%, and it changed everything. Okay? And then when I see these, it's, okay, double proof. So if you think they're not out there, they are. And they're at night, and they don't have lights. If you have infrared cameras or night vision stuff, you better use those, because they're probably all over the place. I don't have one, but my cousin has one, but he refuses to use it, I guess because he's in denial. So I hope you enjoyed that, and if you ever see them, those are real, and I have never seen anything like it on the internet, on YouTube, other than that one on Secchi, and even that's not, really a good picture. So I thought, well, I'm tired of seeing the lights in the sky. Everybody sees those. I don't even look at them anymore, the orbs. Who knows what those are? They could be drones with flashlights. Of course, they're probably not, and a lot of the videos you see are real, and I was, like I said, 99%, until I actually saw it for real, and I had to be convinced, I just have to be. I'm just too much of a scientist to not be totally convinced 100% before I'm going to believe something. So, sorry that I didn't have the video, but I think I've explained that pretty well, and I hope you see some just like it. Have a good day.